Well, my name's Don Stastny. I'm a architect and artist, and I deal with sculpture, bronzes, and oils.
That's an interesting mix.
And this is kind of a combination of different things. There is a certain similarity to many of these, which is kind of starting with a line and the integrity of what a line is. It has depth, it has width, and then the combination of those lines and how they come together gives opportunities to add color into it at different points. So you see these patterns that are basically starting out pretty much as a line drawing of sorts, and then infill with the colors as a part of it. And then I've had the opportunity to do a lot of work for Native Americans, Alaska Natives, and Hawaiian Natives. And so much of my work is based a lot on stories and legends and beliefs of Native peoples. And so there's kind of a serendipity of understanding what the people believe and how that begins to impact a drawing or a painting. How things come together is kind of interesting. That I'll lay down a bunch of lines. I'm trying to think this is probably a good example. And then from those, begin to develop some concepts around them. Some are started out with a definite idea, and the space this one up in here is the idea of Oregon and the geology of Oregon, going all the way from the Blues over by the Idaho border to Smith Rocks, through the Cascades, to the Coast Range, and to Haystack Rock here. So this one is kind of telling a story of the geology through Oregon. These are more taking an idea and just evolving it through the importance of the line and the fields of color that are there. I might say as a part of this, when I started out painting, I started painting at 5, when I was 5 years old. The paint by number that my mom got me. And in a lot of ways, these are kind of adult paint by numbers, because by putting the lines down and then infilling with the colors, I can always come back and I know what that color is and I can paint over it. So it isn't a matter of mixing paint so much as it is just making sure where the colors are and how they mold together. And there's a story about the owls of that. These two plus one in the next room. There is a Northwest legend that the owl is the totem or the animal that takes you from one life to the next. And so there's a book out called Listening for the Owl to Call My Name. And so the idea here is that the owl is a keeper of the souls, and that it's important for them to kind of transfer those from one place to the next, this earth where we are now to whatever that next life is that we're all going to experience at some point. The bronzes all have a bit of a story behind them as well, in that rarely do I start out a bronze or a clay piece that turns into bronze without with an idea in mind. It very much, they evolve just by form and texture, and a story evolves at the same time with them. And this one, for instance, this encounter of two beings, Brian Doyle, who was a very well-known author locally, wrote this book about Martin, and this is Martin the pine martin, and this is Martin the boy. And this is really described in the book as a place where they all of a sudden came across each other. Martin the boy was evolving as a man to a man. The pine martin was evolving out of a family and developing his own family around him. So this is two beings coming together. And I just love this quote. It said, "Embrace the reverence two beings can feel for each other regardless of their individual origins, and how the encounter is exemplar of the way we relate to other creatures, human or not, who occupy our world." So this meeting of two different evolving creatures, a teenager and a pine martin, I mean, that's a very wonderful story.